All right, so we are going to get started. I'm opening the chat and the participants tab so I can see folks. We are recording this on YouTube, so if you are joining there, I will check that chat box at the end of the broadcast of this. I am going to pull up some slides so everybody has access to those slides. If you're listening to this on the replay, if you can't make the webinar and you're listening on the replay, do not hesitate to send me any questions that you might have. Okay, so I have my slides up. Okay, I want to thank everybody for coming. This is kind of the crux of what's different between how coaching helps you reverse your type 2 diabetes versus how Jenny Craig does it versus how I guess Jenny Craig doesn't do it anymore. I'm pretty sure Jenny Craig went out of business, but versus how Weight Watchers does it or some of these other commercial weight loss programs. They usually focus on the things that you need to eat and the reason that that's not horribly effective and the reason that it doesn't get long lasting results for many women is because it's not really focusing on the thing that needs to be focused on. So let me share my slides with you so you can kind of see the things that I'm talking about. Most of this stuff is actually going to be narrative, meaning there's not big graphs or anything that you need to pay attention to, but I do think sometimes it's nice to have things written. I know for me, I do best when I hear something and um, see it written also. So we will dive into this. Today we are going to be covering, if I can get my slides to advance, we're going to be talking about the difference about what coaching is and how it's different from these other plans. We're going to talk about how this is the thing that you probably have been missing from your efforts to fix your type 2 diabetes. We're going to share some examples from clients, and if anybody's interested in, put in the chat, I'm happy to bring you online and we can do some coaching. So, let's talk first. I always feel that it is important in any of the information that I provide to people to have a discussion about what is type 2 diabetes? What do we actually need to do to fix type 2 diabetes? So everyone thinks that I need to fix diabetes by eating keto or eating low carb or doing low fat or going to a plant-based diet or I need to exercise more or I need to take meds. For the love of all that's holy, it's not the taking meds. That's never going to fix your type 2 diabetes. But these are the things that you're hearing on social media. You're hearing this from your doctors. You're hearing this from pharmaceutical companies. You're hearing this in commercials. You're hearing this from dietitians and from diabetic educators. You're hearing this from trainers at the gym. You're hearing this from friends at church. You're hearing this from, friends on social media. You're hearing this in all these different places. Eat keto, eat plant-based, go low carb, go low fat, exercise, do CrossFit, do this, try Ozempic. I mean, it's all of these things that you're hearing. And none of these things are what is going to fix your type 2 diabetes. So if you think about what create your diabetes, it wasn't not eating a keto diet that caused you to be diabetic. Okay. It was not being low carb. It wasn't the act of eating a low carb diet. Like, I'm missing out on that. And that's what makes diabetes. Sometimes it is the diet. Like, I'm eating too many carbs, so I need to go to low carb. But recognize low carb is not what, the presence of low carb is not what caused the diabetes. It was the presence of too many carbs. Okay. Now, yes, maybe that means to heal, we need to go to that low carb, but also means that we need to cut out those carbs, right? Being plant-based or not plant-based is not what caused type 2 diabetes. Exercising or not exercising is not what caused type 2 diabetes. Many of these things will cure or will be part of your fix, but you have to get clear on what actually caused your type 2 diabetes. It's kind of like Tylenol fixes a fever, but it didn't cause the fever. Okay? It's not like the lack of Tylenol is what allowed us to have a fever. There was something else that caused the fever. Okay? So recognizing there are things that we do to fix it, but we have to address what caused the type 2 diabetes. Okay? None of these diets, none of these strategies caused, or the lack of those things didn't cause your type 2 diabetes. Okay, so this isn't where we need to be focusing all of our attention. Yes, some of our attention may need to go there, but that is not the primary fix. The foods that you are eating right now is what's created your type 2 diabetes, right? That's the part that we need to be focusing on. Okay, that's where we're going to find the fix for our type 2 diabetes. Insulin resistance causes type 2 diabetes. Period. End of sentence. Insulin resistance is, I like to look at it as a trunk of a tree. I love this picture partly because it's beautiful, but partly because it does a wonderful job of illustrating what insulin resistance is. Insulin resistance is the trunk of the tree that leads to many branches that are the diseases that insulin resistance causes. That's prediabetes, that's diabetes, that's polycystic ovarian syndrome, that's non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, that's dyslipidemia or cholesterol issues, that's dementia, it's heart disease, it's inflammation. All of these diseases are different branches caused by the same tree trunk, which is insulin resistance and hyperinsulinemia. So too much insulin in your system leads to insulin resistance. These are the things that we have to address in order to fix our type 2 diabetes. Okay, so recognize we're not treating, like when we fix type 2 diabetes, it's not that we just need to bring your blood sugars down. That is part of it. That will happen, but we have to stop causing the insulin resistance. So when you think about, you have to think about what is causing that insulin resistance. And again, it's that food that we eat. So coaching shows you how your brain is contributing to the situation you find yourself in. How is your brain contributing to your insulin resistance and your high blood sugars? It shows you coaching shows you what your brain is creating for you. When we can see what our brain is creating for us, we can get some clarity to the next step. Okay, to what do I actually need to do for the next step to fix my type 2 diabetes versus spinning out in all of these different things: keto, low carb, low fat, Mediterranean, exercise, meds, all of these different things. Your brain spins out in all of those things that we maybe could be doing, where clarity comes from figuring out how do we stop doing the thing that's making us sick in the first place. Coaching creates a shift. It creates a space between the thing that you are currently doing and the thing that maybe you can start doing or need to be doing, okay? In that space, you must shift from stopping some behaviors before you start others. This is not a temporal stopping before you start, okay? It's not like I stop eating this thing for a week and then a week later I start eating this thing. That's not what I'm saying. That's not the time that I'm talking about. You must shift from stopping a certain behavior and starting before you start something else. So what I mean by that is there's no amount of keto you're going to eat, or there is no amount of, I guess keto is not a great example because it's hard to get into keto and eat Twinkies, but there is no amount of exercise you're going to implement and still eat Twinkies that's going to fix this problem. In fact, there's no salad or there's no salmon you're going to eat. Like that's a thing you're going to start doing. There is no amount of starting that is going to help your type 2 diabetes if you don't first stop eating Twinkies. Okay? We all focus on the thing that we need to do, the thing we need to start doing. Where many of times the women that I work with need to focus on stopping the thing that's making them sick. We have to first stop that. Learning what your specific obstacle is the first step, okay? This is something you can get in one of those, in the Reverse Your Diabetes assessment calls. You can certainly go to my Calendly link. You can go to my Instagram and go on my link tree. You can find that on any of my social media and on my website to schedule your Reverse Your Diabetes assessment call. But this will give you clarity on what your specific obstacle is. What is it specifically that you need to be doing differently? And from that information, what do you actually need to start? Like, what's the next step for you? Okay. Coaching creates this shift. It teaches you how to see what your brain, how to use your brain to create the results that you want, instead of being in the way by creating what is, right? Your brain gets your brain out of your way. Your brain has been focused on the things you need to do. Eat keto, eat plant-based, eat low carb, eat low cal, eat Mediterranean, exercise regimens, meds. Your brain has been entirely focused on those things where none of those things are going to fix your diabetes if you continue to eat highly processed foods. That is the thing that we have to not do. And we have to figure out, why do we continue to do these things even though we know that they are making us sick? So it's a shift from stories like, a little is okay, this bite won't hurt, I'll do better tomorrow, I'll start again tomorrow. If I go for a long walk or exercise really hard tomorrow morning, it will undo this. If I can't lower my A1C with my diet, I can just go on meds. Those are the thoughts that we have in the moment that our brain gives to us that makes eating the Twinkie okay, eating the donut okay, eating the bagel okay, having the smoothie okay. It's shifting from those beliefs is step one. You have to stop telling yourself that story. So a little is okay is a lot of times what I hear women will tell themselves. They say it when they're trying to eat a low carb diet, right? Like, I'm trying to limit my carbs to 50 grams of carbs a day. That's a thing to do. And then they tell themselves it's okay to have 2 Oreos because there's only 15 grams of carbs in it. That's the thing that we have to not do. There are no amount of carbs or no amount of Oreos that you can continue to have in your diet on a regular basis. Those 15 grams of carbs that you eat in the form of Oreos are going to spike your insulin quite high, and they're going to persist your insulin resistance. Okay, so they're going to raise your blood sugars, which will then lead to an insulin surge that's very high that then continues and persists your insulin resistance. Okay, the story a little is okay, 2 Oreos are okay, is the shift that you have to make. This bite won't hurt. That's another, you have to shift from that story. You have proven to yourself time and time again that one bite leads to an entire pint of ice cream. One bite of ice cream leads to the pint of ice cream. One bite leads to many bites. You've proven that to yourself over and over and over again. One bite won't hurt isn't true because you've proven, you have evidence that that's not true. I will do better tomorrow. This and its friend, I will start again tomorrow, are both clearly thought errors because you said it yesterday when today was tomorrow, and here we are having to say it again. If you would do better tomorrow, you'd actually do better today because yesterday, tomorrow was today, right? Like, this is the time to do better. In this moment is the time to do better. And when we tell ourselves we'll do it tomorrow, if that were true, you'd be doing it today because you said it again. You said the same thing yesterday or at a different time, right? So those are thought errors that you've proven. Again, anytime you have to use the story, I'll do better tomorrow, and you haven't been able to create the results you're looking for, clearly that's a thought error. That's not even true. Okay? I will go for a long walk or exercise harder tomorrow. There is no amount of exercise that undoes the food that you eat. Period. End of sentence. You cannot outrun the fork. Okay? So if your brain is like, oh, but no, you burn calories with exercise, and you do burn calories, you do burn energy with exercise, but understand that the insulin surge that occurs for you to pull in the calories from the Oreos or the ice cream that you ate, the insulin surge that occurs from that insulin surge persists your type 2 diabetes. Not so much the calories that you ate. The insulin surge is what creates your type 2 diabetes. You must fix insulin resistance. Insulin surges persist. They cause insulin resistance to go on for longer periods of time. The fix to type 2 diabetes is to fix the insulin resistance, and you do this by not having huge insulin surges. Okay? So the story that I can exercise and undo what I did is not true. I can lower my A1C with meds if I can't do it with food. Okay, this is a shift you have to create from that belief. Like, oh, if I can't get the job done with my diet, I can at least use meds and I'll be okay. There are no amount of meds that undo the negative impact of high insulin and insulin resistance in your body. The diseases associated with insulin resistance do not go away just because you control the symptoms with meds. No more than Tylenol makes an infection go away just because you treated the fever. Okay? Yes, the Tylenol lowers the fever. Yes, the meds lower your blood sugars. But they do not, Tylenol is never going to save you from dying of an infection just because you treated the fever. These meds are never going to save you from the disease that is too much insulin in your system just because they bring your blood sugars down. Okay. You have to, coaching allows you to see these stories. A coach reflects the story that you're telling yourself, that you're believing, that allows you to keep doing this thing that you know continues to create the results that you don't like in your life, that you don't want in your life. A coach reflects that to you so you can see it. And from there, you create a shift. You create some space and create a shift from those stories that you're telling yourself so you can stop telling yourself those stories and start to move forward in what you're needing. So I think we skipped a slide here. No, we didn't skip a slide here. We moved backwards. That's what we did. So this is the key. You have to get to the bottom of how the thoughts that you tell yourself are creating the outcomes that you have. Okay. And this is a coaching thing. This is key. Again, like there's no amount of eating Mediterranean diet. Like there's no amount of olive oil that you're going to bring into your life that is going to create the result of normalizing your diabetes unless you quit eating the Twinkies or the bagels or the donuts or the ice cream or whatever it is. You have to quit that highly processed food before the thing that you do starts to fix your diabetes. Okay. So this is the key. And this is something that you find via coaching. Okay. You figure out what thoughts you're having, how they're creating the outcome. So what are these thoughts creating? And then why do I continue to use them? And I think this is crux for so many women. Sometimes we have a lack of belief in ourselves to change. Endorsing a lack of belief in ourselves is hard and it takes a lot of courage. Okay. Seeing where, like having somebody reflect to you that like, oh, clearly you don't believe you can get through the afternoon without chocolate. Like that's a huge thing. Or clearly you're not taking the jump to doing the thing, getting the help that you need. That's where a coach is so helpful, right? Like we hire a coach to get ourselves where we need to be, where we want to be quicker. That's really what coaching will allow for you, right? Because a coach will reflect these stories that you're telling yourselves on how it's creating your results. Like it will reflect it to you. A coach will reflect that to you so you can see it. Okay. So one, we need somebody to show us what it's creating for us. But two, we need somebody to show us how we're using them. And sometimes we're using these beliefs because we have or these thoughts because we have a lack of belief in ourselves and our ability to change. And that manifests in, I can't get through the day. That manifests in our not taking the leap and hiring a coach because I don't know that that's going to work anyway. And it's going to be wasted money. Lots of times that's what women have happen for them. So it takes a lot of courage to endorse and admit to ourselves that we just don't have enough belief in ourselves because everybody says, you know, like we're supposed to have all the belief. We're supposed to trust ourselves. We're supposed to believe in ourselves. That's what society tells us. It takes a lot of courage to endorse that we don't. Okay. Sometimes though, and I do think that this is at the bottom of a lot of it, we're just scared. We have a lot of fear of letting go of that food. We describe this as FOMO. Or we describe this like sometimes we have so much fear that our brain won't even tell us, won't even allow us to look at that as the issue. Okay. So in such a kind and loving way, look at what food has done for you over the years. And I mean this in a very kind and loving way. It got you through mean girls in middle school. It got you through bad boyfriends in high school and college. It got you through mean girls as bosses, as adults. It got you through worries about your babies and your children. If your parents, you know, if you're taking care of your elderly parents, it's gotten you through the fear of going through life without your parents because at some point you realize you realize their mortality. It's gotten you through the stressors of work, the stressors of meeting bills, of running a household. Food has been there, your faithful buddy through many, many different things in life. Letting go of food means that you're going to have to find another way to manage all of these scenarios, and that is scary. That is so scary. It is no wonder that our brain tells us these stories and that we allow ourselves to believe these stories even when we have so much evidence that they aren't true. Even we allow our brain gives us a story that one bite's okay, or that we're doing better, or we're going to start again tomorrow, or we can exercise off that pizza. Our brain is giving us that story and we allow ourselves to believe it because it terrifies us to think about doing life without our old standby there to help us through. Of course, we're resistant to shifting away from this. Of course, we're resistant to shifting those stories. We are resistant to telling ourselves, to believing that maybe we need to do life without Oreos. Like we need to have that not in our life. That is scary when we have used Oreos or M&Ms and Diet Coke for so many years to help ourselves through these really challenging parts of our life. So it takes courage when you see what you have been seeking up till now, isn't. You've been seeking, what we've been seeking as we try to fix our type 2 diabetes is a meal plan and an exercise program. When we have the realization that that's not what we need, I need to figure out how to get through these scary, uncomfortable things of life without M&Ms. That is scary. And our brain definitely shuts down like, yeah, no go, friend. We're not doing that. And your brain will be like, I don't know why I eat the M&Ms. I don't know why I did the Oreos. I don't know why I had the bagel at work. I don't know why I did that. Your brain is going to offer you all of those I don't knows because the reason under it is scary. Like, I don't know that I'm strong enough to handle these situations on my own. Or I don't want to feel that feeling at all. I don't want to feel it. It's scary to feel that feeling, and I'm not interested in it. I don't know why I do it. That's what your brain's going to offer you. And usually it comes from this fear of letting go of what the food has been for us so many times throughout life. This is the crux of coaching. This is what coaching shows you. You have to figure out, again, like that temporal thing, right? Like first, to let go of that food, you have to figure out that that's why you're eating it. Again, no amount of avocado and olive oil are going to fix eating those foods. You have to stop that part. And the first part of stopping that part is figuring out why you're doing it. That's a coaching issue. That's not a food plan issue. That's not an exercise issue. So I'm going to give you a couple scenarios. These are combinations of clients that I've had over the years, stories that I hear frequently from various clients about why they're struggling to fix the food that they're eating. So one scenario, typical of women, they've had years of having an A1C in that pre-diabetic or diabetic range. They've struggled with their weight for years. They've managed to avoid meds, but now they're getting pressure from their doctor to start the meds, and they're feeling pressure from that, and they're not comfortable with it, so they're seeking out help. They know that they will make commitments. They know what they need to eat. They need to avoid the donuts and the bagels and the sugary drinks. They know that they need to avoid those things, and they know they need to have salad, and they know they need to have salmon. They know that. So they make a commitment to the salad and the salmon, but then they have the donut in the break room, or they have a bagel instead of the donut, or they have a smoothie bar because they need a treat, okay? They tell themselves stories like one donut's better than I used to do, a bagel is better than the donut, or just one treat is okay. Okay, this is the story. This is a feeling of bamboozled. Like I know I'm telling myself a little lie and I'm going to allow it. Okay, this is what we need to put our effort, our energy into solving. It is not a new food plan. It's not a new exercise plan. That's not where you need to be throwing your energy. You need to be solving in this scenario why you keep telling yourself that one donut is okay. It's better than what I used to do. The bagel is better than the donut. One treat is okay. Okay? This is not an issue of what food you should eat. You know that. This is a situation of why am I eating things that I know are not serving my goals. When we pour our energy into, and that's the bagel, right? Like, why did we choose the bagel instead of the donut? Because we're telling ourselves a bagel is better than the donut. I can't eat the bagel. I can't eat the donut. That's not even true. This is not an issue about what you can eat. This is an issue about the things that are causing your type 2 diabetes and the stories that you tell yourself to make yourself believe that it's okay to eat them. This is a coaching issue. This is a story that your brain is telling you that creates the result of you being stuck and sick with type 2 diabetes. Your brain is telling you information that you have evidence to the contrary, right? One donut still spikes your blood sugar. One bagel will also. So the bagel is not better than the donut. One donut isn't better. And the smoothie or the sweet drink also causes your sugars to go up. Your brain's telling you that they're okay, and that's what keeps you stuck because you keep believing it, even though you have evidence that doesn't support that. Okay? The issue is that you're not seeing the thought in your brain as a thought. Being unable to see those thoughts and what they're creating, how they're persisting that disease state, that's what keeps you stuck. Seeing these thoughts, step one, it's not creating the food plan. You already know that bagels and donuts and sugary drinks are the problem. There's no news there. So this is a coaching issue. And again, a lot of times your brain will tell you things like, I don't even know why I did that. I don't know why I ate it. Your brain is going to tell you that it's better. Like it's okay, it's better than I used to do. That isn't true. You have evidence that that's not true. So, getting below that, what is it that you have to experience? What feeling are you going to have to feel when your brain says, one donut's okay, a bagel's better than a donut, one sugary treat's fine? Like when your brain tells you that because you're desiring the food, what are you going to have to feel to not have it? And that's the question. That's a coaching question. It's not what meal plan you need to change to. It's not what exercise you need to do tomorrow. Scenario number 2, women that come to me and they were thin as youth, they like teenage years. I was thin. I was so thin when I was younger. And just over the years, I put on a little bit of weight. And then I was recently, I was told for, probably the past 5 or 7 years that I was pre-diabetic. But now recently they gave me the full-blown type 2 diabetes diagnosis and they want me to go on meds. And this has pushed these women into action. A lot of times these women will come to me and they will say, oh, my work is so hard. My children have all these things going on. There's just no time for me to do the things that I need to do to commit to my health needs. Okay? We believe the story. The story in our brain runs out like my schedule isn't allowing me to take care of myself. And this feels really compelling. Okay. These are intense feelings of being busy and being pulled in many directions, feeling overwhelmed. And we're doing it like this overwhelm and this being pulled in many directions, having this busy schedule. We believe, and it's not that like just because we believe it, it's not true. We believe it and it aligns with who we are, that we're doing these important things. I'm doing important work. These are my lawyers. These are my doctors. These are my business women that are like, but I'm doing really important things, and they are. But I also see this in my mothers. I see this with stay-at-home mothers. I see this with mothers who are homeschooling. I see this all over. Like our children, I believe my children are the most important work I will ever do in my life. Absolutely, they're important. We feel very intense feelings with this. Right? The same thing with our aging parents. Like, my parents aren't going to be around forever. I need to help take care of them. And that keeps me really busy, and I don't have time to take care of myself. So, the first thing I want to offer you is it is optional to be stuck in those feelings. You can still believe that the things that you are doing are entirely crucial and important. That aligns. Again, like my children, there's very little I won't do. Like if there's not dinner on the table because they have something going on, there's not dinner on the table because they have something going on. That's awesome. Not having dinner on the table does not make it a free-for-all for McDonald's, though. Those are two separate things. And seeing that your brain is blanketing your very, very busy schedule to making the food that doesn't serve your health okay. That is a coaching issue. Okay. It was very powerful when a coach pointed out to me early on, my children do not want to be the reason that I have type 2 diabetes. My parents don't want to be the reason I have type 2 diabetes. My work, as important as it is, does not want me to have to quit work early because I got sick with type 2 diabetes and ended up with a stroke or an amputation or a heart attack. Okay. These important things that we're doing in our life do not want to be the reason that we are sick. That was a powerful revelation for me. Digging deeper into why we're doing it. Are we people pleasing? Are we just looking for a good reason to have McDonald's? Is that a reason? And then deeper from that, is that the reason that I want to make it okay to have McDonald's? Maybe, maybe not. So questioning if these things are aligned with our integrity is a big thing, because if they're aligned with our integrity, then we want them. Then we just need to figure out how we're going to live healthy with these things that are important to us. This is a coaching issue. Coaching shows us that we really do not need to change jobs or pull our kids out of every activity just so that we can fix our type 2 diabetes. Typically, what's at the heart of this story that we tell ourselves is we want a reason to eat the food that we're accustomed to eating that's convenient. Coaching out of our love for that food, that's a coaching issue, and that's a big part of it. Coaching our brains out of the story that we love the food that's making ourselves sick is the solution. It's not quitting our jobs. It's not pulling our kids out of all their activities. It's not finding the latest, greatest keto meal plan. It's not going to CrossFit. None of those things are going to fix the issue. Anywhere that you bring the story in your head that you love that food is going to be a problem. Anywhere in your life that you bring that story, that you love Oreos, M&Ms, Diet Coke, anywhere you bring that story, you are going to struggle with eating those things. That is a coaching issue. This is why, no matter what stage of life you're in, I see women with this issue. I see it in women who are young and just starting out in the workforce. They're pre-kids, they have this problem. I see women who are in the prime of their lives, who have a lot of financial resources, can pay for a lot of help. They can pay for the trainers. They can pay for the coaches. They can pay for the meal plan programs. They have amazing careers. Their kids are busy, and they still have this problem. I see women who are retired and still have this problem. Stay-at-home moms, working moms who are single, women who aren't mothers. The schedule is not the issue. The things that pull at you is not the issue. The story that you love those foods, that's the issue. Believing the very clever story that your brain is telling you about how eating these foods is okay because of all the important work we're doing, parenting, taking care of our parents, our careers, that story that our brain is telling you, that's what keeps you stuck. It's not your schedule. Okay. Women want the convenience, and that's fine, but it is similar. The story that we are too busy with all the important things that we're doing to take the time to secure healthy food, that keeps you stuck. Okay. So if you're going to be busy, what's the solution? If you're going to be busy, how do you solve for this health issue? That is the issue at hand. So part of it is planning your food, right? But the other part of it that is far more important, because I don't care how well planned your food is, you can have the most amazing salmon salad waiting for you at lunch. If you have pizza available to you and you're telling yourself how much you love pizza, and that's what leads you to not eat the salad that you brought and instead have the pizza, it is the story that you love the pizza that's the issue. It is not a food plan. Okay? The story that you love the pizza is what coaching helps you with. The reflection of what your brain is giving you and how it's creating the results that you have. That's coaching. So, putting it all together. One, this is exactly what's your specific issue? And I have other examples, but figuring out what your specific issue is, this is a thing for a Reverse Your Diabetes assessment call. Find it on my link, find it on my website. You can go to Calendly, CALENDLY.com /DelaineMD, and you can access it there. I will put it in the show notes on YouTube, so it will be there also. But your specific story that your brain is giving you, we can uncover that in one of those assessment calls. But you see, like the way that you figure this out is what do you want? Ask yourself, see what it is that you want. How are you getting in your way? What are the things that you're doing that get in the way? And then why are you doing that thing? Part of it, again, is going to be comfort. Part of it is going to be that we're not aware that we're even using the food in that way because we just tell ourselves we don't know all the time, right? So there will be a lot of different reasons for why women do this, but you have to understand that before you can start eating the food that is going to cure your body. Because that food will cure your body, but only if you stop eating the food that damages it. So this is the blueprint to get you there. You figure out your goal, you figure out what you're doing on a daily basis or maybe on a weekly basis that's blocking you from that goal. And then you figure out why you are doing it. How is it serving you? And your brain's going to want to go to, again, this is a coaching issue because I've heard it a million times. It doesn't serve me. It's in my way. It's creating all my problems. I did this. M&M's and Diet Coke. That is why I have so many problems in the world. No. M&M's and Diet Coke are solving problems. It is the current skill set that you have to solve the problem at hand. The busyness, the overwhelm, the desire. It is the current skill set you have to solve those issues. It is serving you in some way. If it wasn't, you wouldn't be doing it. Nobody has to be told not to put their hand on a hot stove. A hand on a hot stove isn't serving you in any way. You don't have to be told that. If this thing that's causing you pain and problems and suffering was not serving you, you wouldn't be doing it. So you have to figure out, how is it serving you? Solving for this will allow you to get the results that you're actually looking for. Coaching will help you get there quicker. That's what it comes down to. So I am going to stop the recording here and I'm going to go and make sure any questions that are answered. If you are listening to this on the replay, make sure that you send me any questions via email. If you are ready to figure out what this is, what your specific obstacle is, get the clarity on that, sign up for a Reverse Your Diabetes assessment call. That will help gain that clarity for you. If you have any questions, worries, concerns, make sure you put it in the chat on YouTube or send me an email, Delane@DelaneMD.com. There aren't any participants in here, and that makes me worried that maybe I've used the wrong link. So if that happened, you will still get this email sent to you. You'll get this call emailed to you in follow-up. And so make sure you listen. And if you have any questions, worries, concerns, you reach out to me. All right. I will be back next month and I don't know, I kind of am chewing over what big stuff we can do next month, but I'm considering doing another 5-day challenge. So stay tuned for what that will look like in the month of October, and I will talk to you then. Bye-bye. If anybody has any questions, like if you're on the YouTube, I don't see any questions. I don't see the comment section at all. So I will hopefully end this and come back. So stay tuned if you have any comments.